Joining us here on NDTV, we've got the CEO of Hero Motocorp, Mr. Pawan Munjal. Great to have you with us as always, sir.
Always a pleasure.
And I have to say congratulations, because it's been a pleasure to have Hero being chosen by our jury as the business leader.
Thank you very much, and thanks to NDTV Profit and the jury especially.
The year has been an interesting one. I think in the past, ever since the global crisis started, all eyes were always on the auto space. It was very resilient up until now. And within that, the two-wheeler space was even more resilient. In the last few months, though, things have started to change. We've seen some of the pressures coming in. As you know, is typical, the market leader sort of projects some of those pressures larger than some of the other players. How has it been for you from the inside?
As you rightly say, the automotive industry also has seen these pressures, and when the two-wheeler industry slows down, then your economy has really slowed down. This is one of the last sectors to actually be impacted. So surely the market leader has also been facing pressures, and the fiscal that we just closed, I think we've not grown. Just about tried to keep similar kind of numbers as in the fiscal before that, but I'm hoping that things would start to look up now, especially looking at the finance minister. His budget announcements have been positive, and he's been very proactive of late. He's meeting investors, he's meeting a lot of industry, he's meeting all kinds of people to understand the real situation, and I'm sure the government will do something about it, and I'm hoping that the sentiment, the consumer sentiment looks up. That's very important.
They always say that at a time of crisis, the companies who continue with their long-term plan, who continue with R&D spends and continue with the right investments, regardless of the immediate market situation, are the ones who emerge the winners. In your case, it's a sort of a two-pronged approach there, because it's not just that typical adage, but also the fact that you are in many ways building things from scratch at Hero. So you would continue with those investments as well.
Absolutely. Well, not a lot of things starting from scratch. For instance, the R&D, we already did have the basic R&D. We were doing the frames and stuff ourselves. We are now building on that. Of course, we are going into a new location for the R&D. We are going to build a full-fledged R&D center with all the testing and proving grounds. And work is really going on there. The designing work is going on at full swing. Other than that, we are investing into new capacities, putting up a new global parts center. So we've not held back any investments. I've always said that I'm a born optimist, and I do believe in India.
This particular point you made about even investing in capacities, because the R&D part is the part that was expected, but the sort of quick time in which your announcements came as per your intention to establish new plant locations, that took industry by surprise, definitely took your critics by surprise. How crucial is that? How crucial is it to create that capacity and sort of be ready for that next cycle?
Yeah, going back to the fact that a lot of people were surprised by when I talked about huge investments in capacities and R&D and various other initiatives. Making announcements is one thing, but I'm sure they were actually floored when we actually went ahead and started building and started putting in money where our mouth is. So I think it's very crucial, because I believe that the economy will pick up, the automotive sector will pick up, and then we'll really need the capacities to ramp up our volumes, and then go service our consumers both here in the domestic market and in the international markets.
I have to ask you a question, not from a sort of a sensational media point of view, but because at the time when you split with Honda, you had very clearly stated your intention that it is important for Hero to not just maintain market share, but maintain leadership very crucially, especially in specific segments. Now I know Honda is making similar claims as well, and as any player would in any market. How do you approach that number one tag? I mean, for you personally as a company as well as for you personally, how do you approach that tag?
It took us quite a few years to get there, to become the leader in the two-wheeler industry, both here and worldwide. We've been there now for over a decade. It takes a lot of doing. Post the separation, we have to build upon a lot of things ourselves, especially the R&D, the technology, build new products ourselves from scratch, and these things take time. So when we went in for the separation, it was of course a conscious decision, and a decision both partners took together, because both of us thought that it will be a good decision for both of us. We knew that these 2-3 years are going to be crucial during the transition, and we also knew that it would take us some time to build our own new products and put out new products into the market. So these 2-3 years, we had actually known and anticipated that there could be drop in market share, there could be drop in volumes, there could be drop in the stock price, top line, bottom line. But thankfully, the first year post the separation went great. Actually, everything looked up in that one year.
You actually grew, in fact.
Absolutely.
In that year.
We grew top line, bottom line, stock price, market share, everything. So it's not a big surprise for us. We had anticipated that, and we are all working very hard to make sure that we bounce back.
So it's more just the media that gets excited. It's not really the analyst community or the shareholders who are worried about this blip, because what you're saying is that it was expected. You've already taken it into account in some senses.
Absolutely, you're right. The media, of course, this is sensational news, and it makes a good reading.
All right, so one last point before I let you go. All this talk about gloom, but still we find that you do have specific strong products. We've seen a very sort of strong, fresh campaign for Splendor again as a brand. Where do you see 2013 ending up for you? Not just in terms of unit sales, but in terms of where the market might end up as well.
The market, I personally think that the market would start looking up over the next couple of quarters. As I've just said, the consumer sentiment has to improve. The government is serious about making things happen for the economy. So calendar 13, by the time we end calendar 13, I think things should be pretty much coming back into stream and coming back on track. I think we should have a very good Diwali season, October, November, and for us at Hero Motocorp, as I said, it takes time for us to build new products. We've been working very hard on all these things, on the technology and new alliances, new products. So in calendar 13, as I've said in the past, we would come back with a couple of products from our own stable. Calendar 14, we would come in with completely new platforms.
That's the part that's going to keep me excited for sure, besides everything else that you've spoken about. Thank you, sir. Congrats again.
Thank you so much.